Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the NYX Gallery Edition from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this Gallery Edition. This book is available in the direct market and book market on September 24th or 25th, depending on where you get your books. If you've never seen one of my overviews about Gallery Editions, they are hardcover with no dust jackets. The art is just on board, and they are significantly bigger than your trade paperbacks, like so, which we know trade paperbacks have the paper trim size of a monthly or a floppy or single issue, if you will. Bigger than your standard size hardcovers, because these actually may be bigger than trade paperbacks, but the trim size of the paper is that of a single issue or a trade paperback as well. And bigger than an omnibus, whether it comes from Marvel or DC. These books are so big that I actually have to have them. People ask me where I store them. And as a matter of fact, I put them up on my top shelf up there because they don't quite fit into a Calyx shelf. So I have to put them on the top up there, along with the Gallery Editions. Or Treasury Editions, sorry. Gallery Editions are hardcovers, Treasury Editions are softcover, and then we're also getting the Masterpiece Editions, which I got to announce a couple of months ago. But shifting the focus back to this, here we have a beautiful cover by Joshua Middleton, who is one of my favorite artists. Now he's gone on to animation, come back to comics, but I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. This does come wrapped in plastic, and there is a parental advisory, not for kids warning right there. There are some mature themes in here that I'll talk about in a bit. The NYX logo there, Quesada, Liu, Middleton, Andrasowski, and Pichelli. The Marvel logo down there, the Marvel logo back up here, NYX and the creators, and then your main cast of characters right there. So you have Kitten, and Laura, and Tatiana, and then Bobby down there, who are your main four characters, but there's really a couple of more other main characters too, including this little guy right there. The world of the X-Men hits the streets. The NYX logo, some of our main cast here from the second story arc, explicit content, what's collected, and a little bit about the story, and the ISBN with the retail price being $50. It does have a flat spine like the other Gallery Editions, as we've seen in the past, and I'll look at the binding here in a little bit. We are going to talk about the stories found in here. This does contain the first canonical appearance of X-23 in the Marvel Comics universe, or the 616 universe. I know she appeared in the Evolution cartoon first and then came over to the comics. But this is not collected in that X-23 omnibus. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up. You have purple end sheets here. And you have the NYX title page right there. And this piece right here from Joshua Middleton. So here are your credits. Joe Quesada writing the original series. The original artist for the first four issues was Joshua Middleton. And then Robert Teranishi comes in for the last three issues to wrap up the series. You do have color assists here by Jean-Francois Bellew. And over here, your inkers are Nelson De Castro and Chris Sotomayor. And then you have Felix Serrano and Chris Sotomayor doing some of the colors over there. And lettering by Chris Alepolis. Over here, you have lettering by Chris Alepolis and Randy Gentile. Now, down here, Marjorie Liu does the No Way Home miniseries. And Kalman Andrasowski does the main art with Sarah Pichelli coming in for the final issue and filling in a couple of the issues here, 3 through 4. And here are your inkers. Ramon K. Perez helping both Kalman and Sarah out. And then your colorist, John Rauch. And then Joe Caramanga and Chris Alepolis doing the lettering This collection does include depictions of suicide, so there is that warning right there. The mature content is due to the violence and the mature themes happening in this particular story. So we've had a release of NYX, the original series, in oversized format before. It was found in this oversized hardcover deluxe edition, where it's collected after the original X-23 series. So canonically, it takes place after the X-23 mini, but this is truly her first appearance. And even though she is featured on the cover, there's only just a few issues with her in it. This is really mostly about the kids. So what is collected in here? Collected in here is NYX 1 through 7 and NYX No Way Home. This book has 392 pages, and again, retails for $50. So I mentioned earlier that neither one of the series has been collected in the X-23 omnibus because this primarily focuses on the other kids that are introduced through here. This original idea came about, I believe it was like 2001 or so. Joe Quesada, and I think at the time it was supposed to be Brian Wood that was going to be working on this, and then eventually it became a Joe Quesada series, so he decided to write it. However, there were some delays that caused the book to be the center of attention, if you will, in a negative spotlight at some places. I remember joining some forums that people were talking about the delays of the book and how Joshua Middleton was just going to end up leaving. A little bit of that was true, as we found out later. What ended up happening is he was an animator, so he came into the world of comics, left again for animation after his contract was over. He did this story with Superman and Shazam for DC Comics, which is also beautiful. I've always been a big fan of his artwork. But that was a little bit of behind the scenes as to why he ended up leaving the book. His contract was over, he wanted to go and do other things, and the script was just taking a long time to come out. Now, let's focus on the story itself. We are introduced to some new mutants, and there is a reason why this is called NYX. So this all takes place in Alphabet City, and we start off with this flashback that features our main protagonist through both series, and that is Kitten, the little blonde girl. So we find out that her dad's a cop, and her mom and her brother end up leaving her there, along with the 2 babies that they have at the station. And while out with her dad gets shot and killed in front of her. The next time we see her, we have a little bit of a present day where she's out partying, and it turns out that she's still in high school. She's getting up late for school, and at school she has one really good friend. This is Kara, and she doesn't know she's a mutant yet. And how that comes about is she picks a fight with this, or rather this kid that's in a gang picks a fight with her, and she ends up activating her power later on because when he's about to hit her, she's able to freeze time. Like, her and her friend Kara are being beat up by these kids, and she's able to freeze time. And when she's freezing time, she's able to break this guy's arm. And when time is unfrozen, that's when we find out that, you know, she has this ability. Her teacher ends up getting involved here because there's a fight, and again, she's able to freeze time. This time around, though, it does cause more of a problem because her teacher ends up getting shot by this guy that was trying to beat her up in the first issue. This time he brought a gun because he seems to think that she's some kind of freak, and her teacher ends up getting shot. That's Mrs. Palmer, who plays a big role in this. And then we have the debut of X-23. This is Laura in the MCU, in the Marvel 616 universe. Now, Laura is a lot different in this version than she is later on in Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, and then, of course, when she shows up in the X-23 miniseries, and when she ends up joining Uncanny X-Force, and, well, first it was the new X-Men. During this time, she appears as a prostitute, and she uses her adamantium claws to cut people that are into that kind of thing. So people that are paying for self-abuse. So cutting. So like I said, there is a reason why they have a warning and in this particular book. And definitely fans of X-23 from the cartoon into the comic books, especially like All New Wolverine, are very divided with this being her first appearance. And we get to meet other characters. This is Tatiana Caban. She's a mutant with the ability to shapeshift. I love Joshua Middleton's artwork during this time. Really made me hope that he would continue the series. But he did end up at least doing the covers. And Tatiana can absorb other creatures' bodies and change into their bodies, if you will. So she's a shapeshifter. She's a weird cat at first, and then later on she's like a weird dog. And we have one more character to introduce to the gang, and that is Bobby. And Bobby Soul is this other mutant, and his ability is to project his consciousness, like take over people's bodies. Now, his younger brother, Lil Bro, as he's known, Bobby Soul's mute little brother, does play a big part. He has a secret about him that kind of ties everything together. So how these characters get to meet is really strange. Remember when I said that Kitten's dad ends up getting shot at the beginning? Well, what she ends up seeing are visions of her father. And they're not like beautiful visions of her father. As a matter of fact, like he's got like bullet holes in him. And what this ghost, or maybe a mutant ability that got kicked on when he was killed, there's a little bit of a mystery that gets resolved towards the end of the first book, and then it further goes into it the second story. He's telling her to go to different places, and that's where she ends up meeting these characters that will become the main cast. And then by the end, you know, they have to deal with X-23's pimp, who comes after her with his own gang of people. His name is Zebra Daddy. I am not making that up. That's what his name was. And because he sees her as property, right? Like, he wants his property back, and these new cast of friends that she's made, these kids, are not going to let that happen. Plus, they have powers. So that's the first mini-series. Now, it wasn't supposed to be a mini-series. It was actually supposed to be an ongoing series, and then it just got canceled because of the different delays. So by the end of the first story arc, we have Kitten Nixon, whose mutant ability is that she can freeze time, or maybe she's super fast. We have Mrs. Palmer, the teacher, who just kind of takes the kids in. Not like Professor X, she doesn't have any mutant powers. We have Tatiana, who again can shapeshift. We have Bobby, who can project his consciousness into other bodies and take over them. We have Lil Bro, who has a little bit of a secret, and then of course X-23, who's a complete badass with adamantium claws and that healing factor. So that's how we end the first miniseries. In the second miniseries, No Way Home, this time around Marjorie Liu is writing the stories, and Kalman Andrzejowski and Sarah Pichelli are drawing this particular 6-issue miniseries. So it starts off with Kitten being tied up to this table, but then you get the flashback of what ended up happening at the apartment. And what's happened in this particular story is it all starts completely fine. The friends are all together. They look a little bit different, and that could be due to the art style. By now, X-23 has left the group because she's gone on to be, you know, in other X titles like Uncanny X-Men, where we see her in, what was it, the Savage Land. For some reason, she was wearing Fang's costume from the Imperial Guard. And then, of course, we see her later on in New X-Men, and then that leads into the X-Force era, and then Uncanny X-Force. So, I mean, she blows up in popularity, and she has her own ongoing miniseries, or her miniseries, her ongoing series, and then eventually becomes All New Wolverine. So it's just the rest of the kids, the 4 kids, and their teacher here. And what ends up happening is that Mrs. Palmer ends up getting kidnapped. We still have Kitten's dad coming here and kind of telling her where to go and what to do. But we are introduced to some new villains. We have this sniper quiet lady right here that has the power that nobody can touch her. And then we have her goons. But that's what this particular miniseries is about. And it only lasted 6 issues, and that was all of NYX up until the new series that we have by Jackson Kelly and Lansing, right? Like, aren't they? I think both of them are working on that series, which my wife picked up the first issue, and I had to read because I'm a big fan of both of them. And we haven't had an NYX series in so long. Now, I mentioned X-Men. I said, you know, X-23 goes in and joins the X-Men. So, you know, some people consider this canon. Other people don't see it as canon. But there are mentions of the 616 X-Men in here. As a matter of fact, one of the X-Men does make an appearance in the second miniseries. I'm not going to spoil who that is. You can find out for yourself. So to me, this was always part of the universe. Now, we do get a lot of extras in the back after the story is over. We have the Joshua Middleton early sketches. Man, I love his artwork. Just that anime flair that he had about him. And NYX5, the pencils. Just look at that. It's beautiful. He was experimenting with different techniques. And his art has evolved into something else, especially when he came back the second time around from animation. This is the sniper chick I was talking about. So we do have some new villains. And a little bit about the second miniseries, The No Way Home, and original art and sketches, and some pencils right there. And then the cover art by Alina Ursov. I actually really like the covers that they use for No Way Home. And cover roughs, and the different sketches for the ideas of the covers. And that is Kid and his dad. These are character studies. And the cover roughs. And then your end sheet. So let's look at the binding of this book. 392 pages. It is sewn binding and printed in this glossy paper stock. And this particular book is printed at the iMac printer, where I think the last few gallery editions have been printed. As I mentioned, this has been printed in the past. I actually have my book right next to me here because I wanted to do a little bit of a comparison. One of the things that always struck me as weird, because we have a mature content, even parental advisory in this version right here. However, some words are censored, and I don't know why. Even in this original printing right here, years past, some words are not censored. I think it might be depending on the word, right, what it is. But the same words are not censored here. And then you get, here, let me just show you when they're getting into a fight, for example. But I've seen that before, too. I always find that interesting that certain words can be censored and others can't. But when you have a mature theme or a parental advisory on the book, I figured it's just free for all. So here, actually, let's just do this while I have it. Here's what it looks like compared to a deluxe edition, which is the size of an omnibus, of course. So the frames are bigger. I'm sure everybody has already noticed this particular border right here. But it's still bigger artwork, despite of the border. I do wish that they could expand this to get rid of that, because they have done that before with, what was it? Was it Weapon X? And just a little bit more of the comparison. I do want to compare the... what's it called? Spread pages. As far as the paper stock, it's glossy paper, but not as thick as this hardcover over here, this deluxe edition. But this deluxe edition doesn't have the second NYX No Way Home series in it. And of course, I am comparing the wrong pages. I was just talking, not even looking at the book. But here you go. Again, just bigger artwork. Just wish they had expanded it a little bit more to get rid of the border. Because I love big art. I love oversized artwork. And let me see if I can find. I know it's in over here. Here we go. This page right here. Double page spread. So, you can see just a little bit of gutter loss right there. And then compare it to, of course, the way that it looks on the oversized hardcover. You do get more gutter loss over here. Figured that might be better in the old school. You actually get less gutter loss in this copy of the gallery edition. But that is it. That is your introduction to X-23, well, at least in the first NYX series, and then the other characters. I'm not sure if they're going to show up in the new NYX series that's going on right now, but that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you are interested in purchasing this gallery edition, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $200 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in Near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada.
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below if you already have the stories in deluxe hardcover, or standard size trade paperbacks, or standard size hardcovers, or if you've never got around to reading it. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. And also, what other comics from Marvel you would love to see in Gallery Edition or Masterpiece Edition. Any questions, leave those down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. Check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.